Hey y'all, and welcome to the Hillbilly Chicken Ranch. I'm Susan, your hostess. This is another episode of the Resourceful Homestead, and we are doing preparedness today because we have a winter storm coming into our area over the weekend. So I thought I'd show you a few of the preps that we do here on the Hillbilly Chicken Ranch for storms such as this because they're calling for up to 12 inches of snow in our area, which is almost unheard of. Or we might get a wintry mix, we might get ice, we just don't know. And so we always want to prepare for power outages, to be safe, and to have a backup heat source. We have oil lamps. We can make those clay pot heaters to put on a countertop or a table that doesn't have anything around it that will emit heat into the room. Extra blankets. We've got a towel at the bottom of our doors, and we cover our front door and our back door with something. So on my back door back here, we keep a wool blanket that I sewed a pocket for the rod to go through, and then on our front door we actually have some blackout curtains that will keep the air out. Living in a mobile home, it doesn't matter how much you prepare, you're still going to have some air getting through somewhere. We winterized our doors a couple of years ago. We really need to replace the doors, the front door and the side door again. We want to replace the sliding glass door into a door to kind of keep the drafts out of the house. And then on top of that, we have old windows that we have to reseal or replace. So those are things that we have to do that we haven't got to yet, but we've got something there to kind of keep that draft from coming into the house and running our utility bill up. When the power goes out, our water pump goes down, which means we can have frozen pipes and burst pipes in our mobile home, but we want to have drinking water available. So one of the things we do is we fill up 1 gallon jars. I've got 5 of them here, and other jars that I have available. We fill it with water because we've got animals that we have to take care of inside and outside, so we do as many as we possibly can. Usually when it's cold like this, I will jump the water buckets because they'll have ice in them. If we get snow, the chickens can eat snow. They are known to do that. The ducks, turkeys, and chickens will eat snow for their water intake, so we're not going to worry too much about that. If it is ice, though, we're going to have to deal with icy treks out to the chicken coop and getting a water supply that they can drink. So we're going to have to come up with solutions for that, which is putting the water buckets inside an old tire, filling it with old leaves from your yard or straw or some kind of insulating material like cardboard to keep that water from freezing. And I will go out there every morning and break the top of the water, add fresh water to the buckets as needed. Pardon me, I had an itch on my nose. And then we have backup lighting sources. We have this Ryobi power tool. It's a 1+ power tool that you put the battery pack on here, so we want to make sure our batteries are charged. But we can actually charge our cell phones with this. We've got a light on here if we need one. We've got an extra plug on here if we need one. We also have a wind-up emergency radio available to us. So this is a Midland radio. It does have the wind-up crank. And you would wind that for a few minutes. And it has a display. It also has a USB port that you could charge it, and we're going to make sure this is charged before the weather hits. And it's got the radio antenna. It's also got a flashlight on it in case you need it. Really handy little tool. Always make sure your batteries have been checked every 6 months. I usually do it when we change the time, so we want to make sure we have fresh batteries in our equipment. Other things would be flashlights that are rechargeable. We have a couple of those available. Candles with matches, or a butane lighter like this. And you want to have it near your candle so that when you're ready to light a candle, you can find it and get it lit. I usually keep all my candles together with matches available. And that way I can put candles in the bathrooms and the kitchen area, wherever I might need light at the time, to kind of give me a little bit of light in that room to do what I need to do. And we need something to wash your hands with, and I'm going to show you that at the end of the video, so y'all stick around. So instead of going to the store and buy cases of water and plastic jugs, we usually pull water from our well and put it in glass jars to store, and we'll use it up if we don't need it. We'll use it in the dog food feeders, but we can certainly carry these out to the chicken coop. I could pull some water in 5-gallon buckets and take out to the chicken coop if I need to. So it takes a few minutes to fill our jars up, and then I will just simply seal the jar because I don't want to put anything in here that might harm my animals. But if it was just for us drinking, I would absolutely throw in a half teaspoon of baking soda just for the health benefits. So I've got several of these to do. We also keep the water dripping. You want a good steady stream, but you don't want it high enough that it's going to affect your well pump. So I've got a good steady stream going here. And you want to do that in your bathrooms, your bathtub, your sinks, especially if you're like us and your water pipes run along the outside of your home. If the water pipes are actually inside the home, it's not as much of an issue, but you can also open up your cabinet doors and allow heat to circulate towards your pipes. Last year, we had water pipes break in our guest bathroom into our pantry area, which was a major fix. And then the year before that, we had pipes actually break in our laundry room. So we want to make sure that we're taking care of all of those areas as much as possible. Now our spigots outside are weatherproof so that we can draw water, but occasionally they might freeze up or we might have an issue with the well switch. So we want to make sure that we have water pooled just in case we need it. So my husband and I usually pull about 10 gallons or 12 gallons, about 5 to 6 days supply of water for us for drinking. I've actually got 2 waters that sit out on our counter with spigots, and I have pulled 6, 7, 8, 9 more gallons of water that we can store and use up if the power goes out and we need a water source. I also keep several jugs of water to flush the toilets with, because without power we don't have water going into our tanks, and so we want to have water in our bathrooms specifically for flushing the toilet with. You can fill up a bathtub if your bathtub doesn't leak. Ours leaks, but you can fill up a bathtub. You can put 5-gallon buckets of water, set them in your bathtub covered to dip out of and put into the toilet to flush the toilet with. We use old bleach bottles, and we'll use old vinegar bottles that have been washed or rinsed really good to store that water in. And I do periodically go in there and check to make sure that they are full, because sometimes they will dehydrate over time or they will develop a pinhole leak. So you have to keep an eye on those. So that is the water supply that I have pulled so far. Now I may have some more jars that I can fill up Sometimes I'll go a little bit longer. If I think I need more than a week's worth of water, I'll go ahead and pull it because we don't know how long of an outage we might have. They're talking about this stuff sticking around for at least 7 days. So I'm thinking 7 days worth of water pulled would be good for us. And this is just specifically for drinking. That's not including cooking. Um, Now, if I needed to cook something, I would definitely use um, a inverted clay pot and make it into a burner to cook something simple like soup. Um, or I would go outside and cook if I could. We do have cooking things out there that we can cook on, barbecues and so forth. We also have a big grill that we can cook on if necessary, but we'd have to drudge quite a distance from the house to do that. So have a secondary cooking source available if you can. That would be good. Otherwise, get you some cans of Vienna sausages or something that you can eat out of the can that are finger foods, crackers, things like that, blocks of cheese. That's going to give you a lot of protein during this time. Protein, carbohydrates, if you can find things that are carbohydrate dense, like bread, crackers, get those kind of things. You can also prepare some vegetables like celery and carrots, bell peppers, and a dip to dip just to have something to eat on. You can boil eggs ahead of time to have another protein source. You can pre-cook bacon and sausage and things like that and keep it in your refrigerator. So the issue is staying well, staying safe, and having a good supply on hand. I'm going to show you how I do the washcloths. You can do them in a largemouth glass jar like these gallon jars back here, or you can do it in an old baby wipe container, or you can use Ziploc bags. I'm going to use the Ziploc bags because I'm using up my gallon jars for water. Before we get into what I'm going to do with these washcloths, but you can also use old cotton t-shirts cut up, old rags cut up. I forgot to mention how much water I actually pull for our dogs. Now we have small dogs and we have a cat, and they usually go through a little less than a half a gallon of water a day. So I want to think 7 days out, so about 3.5 gallons, 4 gallons of water to be on the safe side, pulled just specifically for the pets in your home. So you can use old pots, the big stock pots and stuff that have a lid to store water for the animals. You can use 5-gallon buckets with a gamma lid on it to store the water for your pets. To make it easier, you can just dip the water out, put it in their bowl. This way you have plenty of water on hand. So now we're going to get into what I'm going to use for these washcloths. Now I am going to be using the gallon size bags because I want to use my jars for storing water. We buy these cheap washcloths at Walmart or the dollar stores. They're relatively inexpensive, and that's what we're going to use for our emergency hand washing solution. So most recipes don't call for aloe vera, but I do have it on hand, so I'm going to put some aloe vera in my bags because it's very good for your skin, and you don't have to refrigerate this after it's open, so that's a great thing. You can also drink this. You would drink 2 ounces a day for an adult, and for a child to 1 year, 1 teaspoon a day, 1 to 5, 2 tablespoons a day, and 5 to 12 years of age, you could do 2 ounces a day. I am not associated with any of these products, by the way. Now, most recipes call to use baby oil. The problem with this is when you go to wash them, they may have some residual oil when they go into the dryer, which is a fire hazard. So what I would do is I would put the baby oil on the side, or better yet, use a vitamin E oil after you've washed your hands, dried them, apply a little bit of this on a cotton swab and just coat your hands, because your hands are going to get dry. You can use it on your face, your hands, your feet, other places. I'm going to use some tea tree oil. This is going to kill any mildew bacteria that might be in the bags. Keep your rags from mildewing. And it is an antiseptic as well, so it's a double win. And then you can use regular old dish soap, or you can use some Castile soap, whatever soap you have available. So I pulled some washcloths. I'm going to do 3 bags, one for each bathroom and one for my kitchen area. And I can throw it underneath my counters in my kitchen and my bathrooms. It won't be out on the counter. Just reach in there when you need a rag, and you can keep, you can lay them out, use them several times if it's just you, and then you can go on to the next rag. Got a big pile of rags, and I usually roll these, but you can fold them however you want to put them in there. And I'm going to load my bags with the rags. So that would be your first step. And of course, I've got water running in the background because it's 16 degrees outside. I'm going to see how many I can get in each bag. Right now I've got about 8 to 10 in one bag. So I've put about 10 rags per bag. You could actually put a few more. You could fill it all the way up. So we've got our bags ready. I have pulled some warm water. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pour in about a 1/4 cup of aloe vera. And just give that a little stir. I'm going to add in about 2 tablespoons of the Castile, give or take. And it's new, wouldn't you know? So 1 to 2 tablespoons. You don't want it too soapy, but you do want enough soap to kill any germs on your hands. And then I would add in probably a tablespoon of the baby oil if I was going to use it. And I'm going to use about 40 to 60 drops of my tea tree. And I think I'm going to have to pry the little top off. I'm going to wash this off my hand because those oils are caustic when it's right against your skin, and you don't want skin irritation. And again, I'm going to give this a little stir. And the reason I added the soap to the water instead of adding the water to the soap is to keep the bubbles down. Now I'm going to take each bag and I'm going to saturate the rags, but I don't want to have too much water left in the bag. I'm going to let that sit for a few minutes, and then I will add some more to it. The reason you want to do it this way is so that you can get some of that soap on each one of the rags. And now I'm going to go back in. I'm going to add some more to my rags, just so we make sure that they get good and saturated. And I may need to do just water towards the end, but you want to make sure that the rags are getting saturated. So we're going to let that one sit. So you want to squish your rags around a little bit, make sure you're getting that evenly distributed. And you might see a little bit of water pooling at the bottom after they sit for a while. That's perfectly okay, but the idea is to get them all saturated. And I can tell this one needs just a little bit more water because some of the rags are not saturated completely. So these are saturated now. If I squeeze them, I can see a little bit of water coming out of them. That's what you're looking for. And these are saturated now because when I squeeze the bag, there's water coming out of the rags. And so one of these bags will go into each of the bathrooms and one underneath my kitchen sink. So if the power goes out, we have them ready. If the power doesn't go out, I can wash and dry them, and they're ready for the next to go. So this certainly isn't all of the preps that we do around the Hillbilly Chicken Ranch, but it's a start to let you know what we do, especially in the winter months when it is going to be freezing temps below, freezing temps outside, and how we're going to keep our animals and us safe and ready, winter prepared. Thank you for joining me today. Let me know in comments some of the winter preps that you do around your homestead. I'm very interested in learning what you do, and let me know what was your favorite prep for today. Here's some content I think you might like. Thank you for visiting our homestead. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, hype, and share to help our small channel grow. See you next time for more simple living, frugal tips, and farmyard fun.